Well, I think it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of fortunate circumstances to take place, and you never know what can happen during the course of a series. All it takes is one bonehead play or one missed assignment, and it's a situation where you can lose. I think we saw that in 2013. All it was someone didn't box out. And Miami gets the rebound, kicks it to Ray Allen, and he hits a three-point shot in the corner. So you understand that at any given moment, things can change if you're not focused and paying attention to detail. So you have to have a good game plan, and then that game plan you have to evolve with that game plan, and you can't just leave it to others. You have to do the little things that are required in order to secure a victory.
Okay, you're one of the most prolific defenders in the league's history, and you've guarded Kevin Durant and LeBron James, who are part of this NBA Finals. What is the game plan whenever you're facing those two players?
I think with those two players, they're different, obviously. Kevin Durant is a guy that has been a scoring champion and multiple times an MVP. We talk about MVPs, LeBron James as well. But, Kevin Durant can score in a variety of ways. I used to say this a while back. He's a born scorer. And so, if anything, you want to make sure that you can take away his airspace. Make it uncomfortable for him to get to his spots on the floor. Just don't allow him to walk to a spot on the floor and allow him to get the ball. With LeBron James, it's obviously different because he's so strong. His ability to post up now, to drive and realize how important the drive is. I think we saw that in Game 7 on the road against Boston, where as soon as he got that switch with Al Horford, who's a very good defender, he was making sure he drove the basketball. I think you have a more conscientious observer in LeBron James of where his strengths are now. He's not settling for jump shots. This is not the regular season. Regular season you might settle for jump shots, but now you can't settle for those jump shots. You have to have quality possessions each time down the floor.
Is there a difference between the LeBron that you faced back in the finals compared to what you see right now with him?
Of course it is. I think he's obviously more mature, and he's had a chance to learn how to win and become a winner in Miami. During that time of going to the finals there, having the tutelage of Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley has allowed him to, I think, show all those different things as far as being a mentally tough individual, understanding that I have to help this player out because he's not able to get a shot. I have to be able to lead at certain moments and take over at certain moments, but at the same time, on the defensive side, I have to do things and communicate where before I don't think he would have understood that had he stayed in Cleveland. So you look at his duration out there in Miami, what it was able to do for him. I think you see a lot of the benefits of that even now in his play and the fact that where they are, and it's all because I believe of what transpired in Miami.
Bruce, in your current basketball career, who's by far the most difficult for you to defend?
Michael Jordan.
Why?
Michael Jordan was a guy that was a student of the game, and he understood exactly what was going on even before a rotation could take place. But that happened because he was such a polished player and such a player that saw so many different types of defense. You try to be physical with him, as Detroit did. He didn't whine and complain. He went and got stronger. Then he watched where double teams were coming from so he can attack a certain area and set a play up for Steve Kerr to knock down a big shot. Or, okay, you're going to guard me one-on-one. I know a place where it's harder for you to double team, and that's the middle of the floor. So he isolates at the middle of the floor and gets to a shot, and we saw what he did to Brian Russell. I think students of the game are able to study and understand those little intricacies of the game and become better.
In today's NBA, do you think there's one player that comes to mind that you believe that plays a hard-nosed defense like you?
I think guys are different in their own right. I think it's unfair to try to compare someone to me because, there's so many great talented individuals now. I just think that what you saw or what we're seeing today is a variety of defenders. I love what Draymond Green is able to do as far as being a guy that is a big man, a guy that their offense goes through. That's something that you don't see so much. And you look on the flip side, you look what Tristan Thompson was able to do a couple of years ago, guarding Steph out there on the wing. Not a lot of bigs are able to be athletic that way. I think it's such a different game now where, they don't have certain guys that they can put on the floor where even if he's just defending, he's not doing something else. J.R. Smith is a guy that can defend and get after it, and when he does, it shows up big time. But it's just a matter of guys committing to that and making sure they can, do that for the series as compared to just for one game.
Bruce, being undrafted, what's your message to some of the NBA players or the local players in the Philippines?
Well, I say to the local guys here,
to be motivated.
You have to understand that only you could limit yourself to what you want to accomplish in life. It's really important to have an optimistic attitude in anything that you do, whether it's sports, whether it's education, whether it's business. As long as you have belief in yourself, others will come around. But you have to have that belief in yourself first and foremost. So when you have guys that understand that, and yes, shots may not fall at all times, but you know what, you have something there. You have to believe in it. You have to put in the work. And when you put in that work and then you start seeing things happen, it's at that moment, it's not the time to say, okay, I've arrived. It's that moment that you work even harder to make sure that you can cement your place wherever it is in what you're doing.
Bruce, let's say you're playing now in the NBA. How would you guard the likes of Curry, Thompson, and Durant with all the rule changes?
Well, I think people talk about the rule changes, but even with rule changes, if you're an elite athlete, I think you adjust to things, because there was a time where you could hand check and then you couldn't hand check, and I remember the adjustment. So it's about being mindful of what you can do. You can still slide your feet. It shouldn't stop you from sliding your feet and beating guys to a certain point, and being active. And when they get off the ball, deny them the ball. Don't let them have the ball back. Now it comes to just the little things now more than anything else. It's not about the rule changes and, we can't do things because the rule changes. I don't believe in that. I see how physical the game is now because it is the finals. And at the end of the day, you must play defense in order to win a championship. Offense wins games, but defense wins championships no matter what sport it is.
Thank you.
Bruce, your thoughts on LeBron James literally carrying his team to the finals. I mean, that was literally Herculean effort on his part.
Yeah, I think again, it goes back to, what LeBron has been able to do as far as becoming more of a mature player. I think it's a byproduct of what he does for his body. LeBron James plays basketball year-round. He takes care of himself year-round. What's going on, man? They shot me over here. But it's funny, if you were able to, 10 years ago, LeBron James maybe would take a month off to get his body right. But now he's figured out a way to keep his body right even during that time that he's not necessarily playing basketball. Pilates, yoga, conditioning, certain things to keep himself in shape. Because there comes a point right around 32 that you say, you know what, it's easier to stay in shape year-round as compared to try to get back into shape from taking time off. So I think it's just more of a conscious effort of a healthier lifestyle for LeBron, taking care of himself a different way, and getting a lot of rest.
Last question.
You had the experience of being with the Clippers this season. Both, how do you see them? How do you judge their performance this season? And how did you feel? What was that being with Ralph Lawler as your partner?
Oh me, oh my. I think it's great to be able to be with someone as seasoned as Ralph. He's been doing it longer than 40 years he's been doing it. So that's been a pleasure. To see the Clippers kind of turn a corner. There was a 9-game losing streak this season, and it just all of a sudden the light bulb came on, whereas Doc, I think it's the only team that had to deal with as many injuries. You had over 35 different lineups during the course of the season, and you were still that far away from the playoffs this year. Danilo Gallinari didn't have a full season due to injury. Milos didn't play the whole season. You had to deal with injuries to Patrick Beverley. So you're talking about a team that, if they had their starting five together, obviously I felt like they'd be in the playoffs. But even with all that has transpired, they were still right there. And I think that only helps a young ball club to understand how important it is during the course of a regular season to pay attention to detail, and you can't take games off. And I think that only happens in the evolution of the game.
Thank you, sir. sir.
Thank you.
Alrighty.